everyone, I'm Rachel Tessman from StampYourArtOut.com. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Andover, Minnesota in the US. And today I'd like to share with you some outside-the-box ideas that I created using the contents of the September 2019 Paper Pumpkin Kit from Stampin' Up! Titled Bon Appetit. I love these monthly kits because they come straight to my mailbox and contain everything that I need to make fun, creative cards and gifts. This month's kit contains supplies to make 20 food-safe Halloween-themed treat boxes. How fun is that? I also receive a publication with directions, tips, photos, a ruler for measuring, details about the kit, and a link to a how-to video to help guide me in assembling. Plus, I receive an exclusive stamp set and a mini ink pad that I can use over and over again, even after the consumables of this kit are used up. A clear block, which was included free with my first kit for mounting and using my stamps, and my scissors are the only extra supplies I need to provide. Paper Pumpkin kits are only $22 plus tax per month in the US. Shipping is included, and you control which months you get your kits, and there's no commitment or obligation. These kits are produced through Stampin' Up!, so the colors, images, and supplies always coordinate with many other Stampin' Up! Products. I'll be using some of these as I share my alternate projects. You can find these items that I use listed below and linked to my online store. You can also look below for links to learning more about Paper Pumpkin kits, starting your subscription through me so I can spoil you with exclusive ideas, gifts, and prizes, joining my Paper Pumpkin fan club on Facebook where you'll see even more alternate project ideas shared daily, and if you're watching my video on YouTube, a link to my website where I've shared close-up photos of these projects. I'm excited to create with you, so let's get started. First of all, let me share with you what you get to make with the kit contents if you go according to the directions. They're these tiny little gable boxes, and you can see that each gable box has a really cute tag that you can make, and then the clips, the little tiny clothespin clips, have fun little hands on them, skeletal hands. Now this grape color in here, this gorgeous grape, really coordinates well with the special dark Hershey's Kiss candies. So that's what I would suggest filling those containers with. When I create my alternate projects, I usually start out by making the projects that are in the kit according to the directions. And then I look at all the different elements, all the different parts, and I count them. I want to see how many I have. In this kit, you're going to get 10 stripe boxes, 10 dotted boxes, 20 of these hands. You're going to get 24 of these circles, which are made out of vellum. So I'm going to use one as a moon. You're also going to get 21 of these labels, 18 of the, and then they're not even used on the actual project. So you get these fun little labels that look like little tombstone shaped pieces. You get 18 of those. You get 12 webs. You get 10 black tags and 10 of the purple tags, and then you get 20 of the skeletons. Gosh, I didn't even count these, like these guys here, the clips. I'm guessing that you get 20 of them because you make 20 boxes, right? You at least have 20 of them. So lots of fun stuff. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to make a card for you using that moon, the vellum circle, a couple of these, one of the tags on the back side. We're going to make it turn into another tombstone, and we're going to make a card. I thought I would make a fun Z-fold card for you. I do want to point out that in my videos, I like to use the full-size ink pads. They're just a little bit easier and quicker on camera than using the smaller ink pad that comes in the kit. I also use my ergonomic blocks because I can stamp multiple images without having to put my stamps off and on this block that comes free with your first kit, but definitely that will work just fine. And then I also like to bring in my snail adhesive. It's just one of my staples. It's quicker than adding those tiny little glue dots to every part that I want to tape down. I often do use the glue dots, but I love my snail. Another fun goodie that comes in your kit this month is our new black dimensionals. Now they don't look black right now, but if you peel off the backing, the release paper on them, you actually have an all black adhesive piece that pops up your your project elements. And you can get black dimensionals now from the holiday catalog. They're new, and it's in a combo pack. So you actually get 2 sheets of the full-size ones and 2 sheets of this size of the smaller ones. So if you're needing more black dimensionals, you can get them. For our card, we're going to bring in a couple extra sheets of cardstock. We're going to use the gorgeous grape color, and we're going to use basic black. And we're just going to go ahead and cut this to 4 inches wide. And then we're going to trim off 1/2 inch. So instead of 4 by 11, it's going to be 4 by 10.5. Now 10.5 in half is 5.25 inches. So we're going to go ahead and make a score mark at the halfway mark, 5.25 inches. And then after we do that, we're going to make another score line halfway between the, okay, so 5.25 inches. Half of that is 2 7/8. So we're going to make another score line at 2 7/8. Oh, that's wrong. Sorry. 2 5/8. Okay, and then that's going to fold back this way. And now we have the base piece. Now the base piece is smaller than our typical card base because I actually want a black layer behind the whole thing. And so I made this smaller on purpose. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my black cardstock and I'm going to cut that in half at 5.5. And again, in this direction, in half at 4.25. We're going to keep one of those. We'll set this aside for just a second. This will layer onto here like that, and this will become our Z fold, okay? Next, I want to have a piece that goes on top that is just as tall as the purple piece, the gorgeous grape color. So we want to make that 4 inches tall, and we also want to leave about, I want to say 3/4 inch on each side. So that would be about 1 inch on each side of the 5.5 inch length, which would make that 3.5 inches, I think. 3.5 inches. Let's try that. Yes, but let's just, yeah, let's go with 3.5. I think it'll fit in there. Hang on a minute. So I lied. I had to put my little pieces that I had laid out for my card design on here, and I didn't want to show you yet. Anyways, it's going to be 3 3/4 inches wide, again by 4 inches tall. And that piece will go right on top of and in the middle of our folded card base. So when you're looking at our card base, if we look at it all put together like this, this piece is going to go right like that. So when it's folded flat, it's going to give the illusion that it's just a regular card base, right? And then this is going to be connected to this piece, and it's going to open up like that. And I wanted to do that because I want to have a bunch of little skeletons going across here. I thought that would be fun. I'm also going to put a white layer of cardstock on the inside here. But let's start by decorating this piece up a little bit. We're going to start with one of our tags that comes in the kit, and you could use the black or the purple, it doesn't matter which one. But you want to make sure that the circle that's inside the top is intact. And if you need help with that, you can put a little, I don't know, Scotch tape or any kind of tape on the back side. We'll do that right now just to make sure it doesn't disappear. So we're just going to put a little bit of tape back there, like that. And now we have that, so it's going to stay in place. We're going to stamp that with our skeleton headpiece in our gorgeous grape color. So these are our big ink pads if you've not seen them before. They're awesome to work with. We're going to stamp that right in the top, kind of to conceal that circle that is at the top of our tombstone. So this is going to become a tombstone, a large one. We're going to stamp a sentiment on the inside. I'm going to go with the on the top of it. I'm going to go with Happy Halloween, so we'll mount that one onto our clear block. Ink that up and stamp that right underneath. And now we have the greeting for the front of our card. These tombstones are going to go right next to it. Cute, right? And then we want to make sure that we have our moon. And our moon's going to go right about there. we're going to have a spider web that's tucked behind. So let's go ahead and first take our, actually, yeah, let's just lay it out so you can see it really quick. So we do have, our spider webs have these little skeletons on them. Can you see that little head there? And we don't need that to be seen. So when you certainly have it seen if you want to, but we just want a narrow little piece of that spider web sticking out. And then we want to have our skeleton guy hopping up on top of our tombstone, like so, okay? So off camera, I placed some dimensionals on the back side of the smaller tombstones and on the back side of our skeleton guy. I also added some snail adhesive to the back side of our larger tombstone, and I cut the spider web in half. This way we can use the other half at another time. So we're just going to add this on the back like that and add a little bit more adhesive, and we'll put this directly onto the front of our card. And this is when those glue dots come in handy, when you need just a tiny little bit on the edges of something or in the middle of something. So we're going to peel off the backings. I transferred the glue dots using my paper snips. Take your pick tool is awesome for that. A little tiny pin is awesome for that. Now we're just going to tuck the little moon back behind our skeleton, like that. Vellum, adhesive shows through vellum, so you don't want to have, adhesive smack dab in the middle of that. You kind of want to have it hidden off to the side. So now we have our setup here. On this piece, we're going to stamp a bunch of skeletons that are sort of just kind of dancing along the bottom here. What I did is I mounted my 2 skeleton stamp images, because you get 2 of them with your kit. They're so cute. So I mounted them together. And this is where that larger pad really comes in handy. So I've got them inked up and ready to go. I'll just open up the whole thing here. And we'll stamp them, just kind of dancing along here. And this is why having scrap paper underneath is really handy. All right, let's take and add this to our black bottom piece that is 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches, and that'll frame our card very nicely. Use a bone folder, really make sure that adhesive is down. I decided I need a little bit of glitz on this card, so what I'm going to do is I took a piece of scrap paper, folded it in half, that way I can make the adhesive disappear when I'm done laying it on the card, and I'm just laying it out on the edge, right along here, on each side. And I've got the tape, make sure I don't stick into the tape here. Okay, so I've got snail adhesive along the edges there, and I can just fold this over, and now it won't affect any of my projects. And I'm going to bring in this awesome ribbon. This is our black glittered organdy ribbon. I just want a couple strands of that. That'll just kind of reach the length of this. I don't know if there's a right or wrong side, but for some reason that just looked like it had more glitter on it. So now we've got just a hint of glitz coming out the back side pretty well. So then we'll just trim off the excess. And now we can put dimensionals back here. And we want to have the dimensionals on just this half. Oh, I love that. Now on the inside, we want to put a little place for adding, writing something in there, putting a personal message. So we're just going to add a little white layer that is 2 inches tall by 3 3/4 inches wide. And that we can just stick right above the skeleton's heads so we can still see those guys. Isn't that cute? All right, we're going to do another fun fold card. This one I demonstrated recently in a Facebook Live. It's called a shutter fold card. All right. So just like 95% of the projects that I do for my Paper Pumpkin videos, I do not have this card completely planned out. I have an image of it in my head. So what you'll need for it is a half a sheet of basic black cardstock this way and a half a sheet this way. And for this one, the long way, for this one, the 4 1/4 by 11 piece, we're going to trim off 1 1/4 inch along here, which I've already done, and then for the 3 inch wide piece we're going to cut that down at 3 3/4, 3 3/4. So 2 pieces that are 3 inches by 3 3/4. Each of those pieces are going to get a score at either end, doesn't matter which end, and that is going to be 3/8 of an inch in. I'm using this side of my trimmer, on the measuring side of this side over here. So now I've got 2 little tabs, and then we're going to rotate it so the tabs are going down, and we're going to bring our 2 pieces into our trimmer like this. Now it's 3 inches wide. We want to bring it to the 1 1/2 inch mark, and we're going to make just a little mark 2 inches down from the top. Let me grab something white to put under here so you can see the measurements on my trimmer. So here's my 2 inch mark. We'll move the scoring blade out of the way. I want to bring my trimmer blade to this spot here, and then as I lay it down, I'm going to press. I'm going to make a little mark into my paper, and I'm going to do that on both of these pieces here. Make sure I have it at the 2 inch mark. It's hard to see against the black. Okay, and we'll just press it. And then for this piece, we're going to score at 2 1/8 inches in from each side, parallel to the 5 1/2 inch length here. So 2 1/8. We're going to bring the bone folder in, and we're going to emphasize the creases. So we'll crease this side first, and then we're going to bring this side in and make sure that it's flush right to the edge of the other side, and we're going to crease it. So now we've got the base of our card. We've got our 2 shutter pieces ready to trim up, and we have what's called the belly band. So for these pieces, you're going to aim your scissors from the outside corner, so not the tab side, but the other 2 corners. You're going to start from one corner and aim right into where that little mark is that you made with your paper trimmer blade. And then we're going to go from this side and in. And the long bladed scissors just makes it so it's easier to make a straight cut. After you've done that, you're going to add some tear and tape adhesive really close to the score line. And it doesn't matter which side, because you can fold it the other way if you have the tape on the other side, right? But this is now going to fold backward, and I've done that with both my pieces. These will act as the shutter on the card, the part that opens and closes. So now that I've mentioned that, you may not have ever seen a shutter card before. So let me share with you the one that I demonstrated on my Facebook Live. It is on my blog if you want to check it out. This is the belly band, and when you open it up, the 2 pieces inside act as a shutter and open up to reveal the message on the inside. Okay, so we're going to be making that. It's going to be so fun. What we need now then is, since we have the 2 shutter pieces and we have our belly band, we need a panel that goes on the inside of this. And I decided last minute that I'm going to do it with black. We're just going to make this a very black card. So this piece is going to be 3 1/4 inches wide by 5 and let's make it 5 1/4 inches tall. Then it will be just inside the length or the height of the card. And I think I was a little off on this when I cut. Let's just try that trim just one more time here. There we go. Okay, so now that we have that done, we're going to do some designer paper. And the kit does not come with a lot of fancy paper that's really good, usable size. We're going to use this for the belly band, and I may use some on the inside too. But for now, let's set it aside and let's grab any kind of designer paper that you like that kind of is subtle and goes with it. I found some from our Monster Bash designer series pack of paper. And so I want to cut a piece that is 4 inches. No, I'm sorry, hang on. You know what, let's just go ahead and cut the strips. So we're going to cut the strips to 1 7/8 inches wide. We're going to do 2 strips. And then we're going to turn each of these pieces and we're going to cut them at 5 1/4 inches. So now we have panels for the front, the cupboard door parts of our card. Those will go right here. Decorate this up. I was thinking of doing kind of a piece like this. I think it will work. I say let's go for it. So let's trim off the end that has a really wide space so we can use that on the belly band. And let's just go ahead and put a bunch of adhesive down here. And we'll trim off the excess. You'll want to cover up those two little tabs right there that would get punched out normally. You don't want to lose them, so put adhesive down really good on those. And then I think we'll aim so that it's somewhat centered. I'm also making sure that this little angle here on each side is right up to the edge of the black cardstock underneath. So let's trim off the excess. Let's see what it looks like. Not bad. I think it'll work. Okay, so now we're going to take our punch. We have a 2-inch circle punch. And we'll flip it over and we're going to aim it all the way inside and we're going to try to center it. Now you do have on your box piece that you tape down here, you have 2 score lines and the box is 2 inches wide. So if you sort of use those as guidelines, you can get the punch directly in the middle. And I've shoved it all the way to the back of the punch. And with this 3 1/4 inch width here, it's going to center quite well on the front here, like that. Okay, so now we have the inside piece. We can take that layer and we can just position it where we want it to be. And as we do that, you want to have an 1/8 inch at the top and an 1/8 inch at the bottom. As we do that, we also want to make sure that it's even on these 2 sides here. And we're going to put a little embellishment piece in the middle there. So for that, we're going to use our 1/2 inch circle punch. And we punched out of one of our scraps from our shutter. We punched a circle. We're going to put that smack dab in the middle of our vellum circle, and then we'll use the back side where the black is to add adhesive right there, and that's going to go right in the middle of this circle and become an eyeball. It's an eyeball. I got this idea from Robin Trela. She messaged me saying that she could see this shutterfold card opening up to reveal an eyeball, and I said, oh my gosh, that would be so cool, because I wanted to do a shutterfold card with this paper pumpkin kit, and so there you go. Now we have an eyeball in there. So next we're going to take these pieces, and again holding this still, we're going to lay this in place so that it's centered. The eyeball looks centered here, kind of like a little pie shape there. And we're going to peel off the release paper from our tear and tape adhesive, and we're going to fold this flap down on top of it and pick it up. And then what we'll do is we'll move this aside, we'll lay this down, we'll position this one on this side and bring it right up to that crease mark. We're making sure everything's straight. We'll peel off the release paper and we'll catch it like that. This piece is going to receive some dimensionals on the back. just right at the top. 2 pieces at the top and 2 pieces at the bottom are all you need. And now when we open it up, we have an eyeball opening up. Kind of creepy, right? Let's take our belly band and lay it across the front of our card. Sort of centered, I suppose. And we'll just wrap to the back, wrap to the back. And we're going to attach with some tear and tape adhesive back here. And then for the decoration on the front, this is 1 1/4 inches tall. This is 4 1/4 inches wide, so I want this to be 4 by 1. We'll bring our trimmer back in. Hopefully we can get a 4 by 1 piece out of there. We did it. So that'll go on the front as a decoration. And we have a fun embellishment that is in our holiday catalog. We have these fun eyeballs. So I'm going to take some glue dots and add them onto this belly band here because we want to add a few more eyeball embellishment. So I added a couple eyeballs here and on the inside. Before I show you the inside and finish off the inside, we're going to take Memento Tuxedo Black ink. We're going to stamp Trick or Treat on this little piece here. And then we're going to take a hand and we're going to make it come over the top of our little belly band here. And then we're going to take one of these skeletons. We're going to snip below the waist here. We can use this guy for something else, but for now we don't need him. And we're going to take this piece and add a glue dot to the underside and make the legs dangle down under here as if this little guy is hanging over the edge. It's cute, right? Okay, and then on the inside we're going to grab and put some adhesive on this hand and some adhesive on the back side of this tag. We'll open it up. There's a couple more eyeballs there. And this hand is going to be reaching from where there's a little gap there and holding on to, let's see here, I like it like that, kind of right in the middle. So it's as if there's a monster on the inside also that's holding on to that little sign that says Trick or Treat. And then the belly band with the little skeleton legs hanging down. I had too much fun with this one. And look at all the different color eyeballs too. You could use the gorgeous grape eyeballs, you could use the pumpkin pie, the granny apple green. But I kind of wanted to keep this card a little on the monochromatic side, just using the pumpkin pie color, which is why I didn't use the gorgeous grape ink. And there we have our second card. The third project that I'm going to share is an alternate gable box treat box. So basically we're going to do something different with the boxes. And I'm going to use the Timeless Label Punch for this. When you punch out the Timeless Label Punch in this direction, it can look like a tombstone, it can look like a door, it can look like a window, depending on how, how far up you go where you punch it. And so what I've done is I've already punched out a few pieces from this black scrap, and I'm going to go ahead and assemble the box. Now that our box is assembled, it kind of resembles, I don't know, a little bit of a house look. So that's what we're going to do with these pieces. We're going to take and tape them to the box. And now that we have our little house covered with a door and 3 windows, we need to fill those spaces. So the first thing, pretty obvious is we're just going to add a little skeleton dude. Might be easier to do glue dots on this guy. And he's just going to be saying hello out of his doorway. And then we're going to take one of these and cut them in half. So now we have two skeletons. And he is going to wave outside one window. And then we of course have, well, I'll have to adjust him. Then we have that other half guy. Remember we used the legs on the other project, so he can be over here. And then, why not? So there's somebody hanging from the ceiling in the view of that window. So there we go. There's our cute little box. I'm going to move him over just a little bit. And then we need, of course, a little sentiment on our box. And we'll just put a couple dimensionals here on this piece and pop it up onto the top of the box in the front. Bon appetit. So funny. I love the play on words. So if you wanted to do something a little different than what the kit instructs you to do. And there we go. A cute little house treat box. The next project. Now I'm going to show you a few ideas that are not Halloween related. Some things that you can do with this kit. So I've got my polka dot, Whisper White polka dot tulle ribbon here. I've also got some Highland Heather cardstock, which coordinates really well with the gorgeous grape color in the kit. Some Whisper White cardstock, my trimmer of course. We're going to be using one of the labels in the kit. We're also going to use the Memento Tuxedo Black ink. And I'm bringing in a stamp set from a past paper pumpkin kit because really when you look at the images in this set, they, you know, they cry out Halloween. So we're going to use the stamp set from March of 2018 called May Good Things Grow. And there's a great little phrase here that fits right inside this label piece pretty well. So we'll stamp that there, and we're also going to use the flower. So we're going to make a pretty card from this Halloween kit. All right, here we go. Let's start with cutting our cardstock. So I've cut my Highland Heather to the typical size of 8.5 by 5.5, scoring it down the middle at 4 1/4. And now I want to have a piece on the inside for the writing, you know, what I want to, anything that I want to put inside my little note. So that will go here. And I want the white to show. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim off just a little bit of the front here. I'm going to trim off 3/4 of an inch. So now when I close this card, I can see my white inside here. We're going to take our tulle ribbon and we're going to wrap that around once, about to there. Let's trim it. Now let's get our scrap grid paper out. I got a mess on my desk. I'm having way too much fun with this kit. All right, so let's open it up so it can sit flat. And let's grab our ink. We'll first do the phrase that goes inside of our label piece. And I had to stop the camera because I stamped it the wrong way. I wanted the words going this way with the hole there. So there, now we have that ready, and we're going to do some flowers. And I think I'm going to stamp off to get a lighter purple. And we're just going to add some flowers coming out around. There's also a leaf in this set. And I thought I'd use those vellum circles a little bit so that we could have even more contents from the kit on this card. But you can see you can use those elements in different ways. You don't have to do it just for Halloween. The next project will prove that as well. For this one, I'm going to use the host set called Time for Tags, just because I really like the words that are in here. Happy you're here, celebrate, congrats. And they're a nice size for the little tiny white pieces that come in the kit. So we're going to stamp on those pieces with that. Now you could use any words that fit in there. And then we'll use the polka dot tulle ribbon again and the glitter black organdy ribbon. I'm also going to use a Sharpie marker. Now normally I'd grab my blends, but for these boxes I tested it out and the black Sharpie just works a little bit better. And I'm going to use the heart epoxy droplets. So let's turn the boxes into wedding favors. So what you want to do is you want to color on the boxes. You want to color all the orange areas so that you've covered up and created an all black box. There's my all black box. For my all white box, I'm going to turn a box inside out. So I've just taken my box and unhinged the seam here. And then I'm going to grab my tear and tape adhesive and put a little bit on the edge here. The tab will be on the outside, but if I put it on the inside, then you're going to see that little tear there, and so I figured it would look a little cleaner if we had a nice piece like that there instead. Let's make sure that's reinforced. And then just fold it while it's flat and assemble your box. So a bride and groom box, and these could also be used at a shower instead if you'd like. Perfect time for fall though. There's a little hint of orange in both of them, but they're not as obvious. So now we're going to stamp with those words from the Time for Tags stamp set onto these pieces, which I've done. We're going to accent them with some of these little clear epoxy hearts. Heart epoxy droplets, that's what they're called. So here are my two little label pieces that are going to go on the boxes. Now on the white box, you want it to kind of stand out a little bit. So we're going to put some vellum behind it first. Oh yeah, I made a mistake on that side. You weren't supposed to see that. So we'll tape that on like that, and then we can pop that up with dimensionals so it sticks out a little bit more. And you could certainly use white dimensionals that you have on hand. I'm just using these because they come in the kit. And there we have a fun little label on the front of our box. And on this one we can just go flat onto the box. And then we can top them off with some ribbon. And oh, something to keep in mind, when you're putting the ribbon on, put it through just one of the handles, because that way it'll still stay on your box when you have opened it, and so it won't disappear on you. You don't have to tear the ribbon off or anything. And like I've mentioned before, that I sometimes, well, most of the time, create while I'm filming. So this ribbon was very stiff and I was worried that it was going to wreck the box, so I decided to just take it off and tie the bow freehand as is, separate from the box, and tack it on with a glue dot. So it's just stuck on with a glue dot, but this one is easy to tie on. And now we have a bride and a groom little party favor box. Fun, right? Crazy. So that was done using the contents of the Halloween kit. Yes, you can think outside the box. This month I sent gifts to my personal Paper Pumpkin subscribers. Thank you so much for subscribing if you were one of them. And in that envelope I enclosed some red rhinestone basic jewels, 3 of them. The epoxy, those little heart, those things that we just used. Those heart epoxy droplets, a medium, small, and a large. And then I also enclosed a coffin box, these coffin treat boxes. And I'm starting to assemble one of them. And then I enclosed a foot of this tulle ribbon, which I'm done now. That's all I have left. So according to the directions, you just want to fold in all of these tabs. And I put tear and tape adhesive on all of my tabs. And then I'm going to go ahead and peel off the release paper. Now, if your tear and tape adhesive is beyond, it's sticking out, you can just wrap it back over onto itself and it can then stay within. So pretty awesome stuff. I love this tear and tape. You could also use a glue if you'd prefer. But yes, you just go around and you peel off the backing, fold it in, connect the edge to the score line, and you are instantly making some cute little coffin boxes. Now our box is not going to be a coffin. And then we're going to die cut some real red cardstock using letter dies from the Hand Lettered Pros die set. After we've done that, we're going to use some of this multi-purpose liquid glue. This is the glue that I was referring to that you could assemble your box with rather than the tape. And we're going to start adding these letters to the top. I also added the skeleton with that same glue, and now I'm going to use the Memento Tuxedo Black ink, and we're going to stamp just inside this white label piece and add that to the front of the box right there. We're going to add some rhinestones to the eyes of the skeleton, and I'll show you the finished project. And now we have a tombstone box rather than a coffin. Here's a coffin box that I did with my team earlier this month. We made this fun make and take during one of our team meetings. You can see that you can turn it into all kinds of things. So a coffin, a tombstone. I've even created a boat out of this box. Fun stuff. I just have too many ideas to share. I have one more. This is a fun fold card, another fun fold card, and it is the last project for this video, but I think you're going to really enjoy it. I got the idea from my upline, Susan Campfield, and she got the idea from fellow demonstrator Lisa Curcio. So let's go ahead and start with Whisper White. This is 8.5 by 11 cardstock, and it's the regular Whisper White. You don't want the thick stuff for this. And we're going to trim it at 8.5 inches. And then we're going to make sure that the other direction is also trimmed at 8.5 inches. And this one is a little beyond, so we're going to shorten that up a bit. I have to admit that I was doing this 2 other times and had to stop the video and restart because my cardstock was a little bit bigger on one side. Now we're going to score at 4.25 inches in each direction this way. And we're going to flip it over and we're going to do a diagonal fold. And again, because it's square, it wouldn't matter which corner to corner you do, but you're going to score so that the corners are in the channel of your trimmer. Get the cutting blade out of the way. And we'll go ahead and run that score line all the way through. Now the reason why I flip it over is because I like to have the mountain of the fold on the inside when I fold things, and I like to have the valley on the outside. I think it gives a cleaner, crisper look. So now that we've got those folds in there, this is where we folded last. We pressed down on this side, so we're going to fold it this way. And you just want to line up your corner, grab your bone folder, and give it a good crease. Now we'll open it up and we'll crease the other way because you can feel the mountain folds on this side, so we want to fold this way now. edge to edge. And we're going to do that on both of those score lines. So much better. Seriously, the first two takes, I'm like, what is going on with my measuring? All right, so now that we have that done, you can see that we have this type of fold going on for our card. It opens up like this, kind of like a little mouth. This is a great base for making explosion cards and other kinds of fun fold cards. This is a great origami base. So now we're gonna go ahead and just crease everything flat. After we've done that, we're going to examine the direction of our folds on the inside because we want to make sure that as we're decorating this, it's going to be decorated correctly. So you want to have these 2 points coming down into the bottom right-hand corner. So this is going to be top. So we'll just set our bone folder right there to indicate that the little arrow is pointing up, and we're going to move it off to the side. Now, do you remember that cardstock, or I'm sorry, designer paper that had the fun web design in it, and that was from the Monster Bash. So this web design paper I cut to 4 inches by 4 inches. That way if you're going to make a mass bunch of these, you could actually get 9 of these out of one sheet, so 18 out of a pack. Not that you need to, but. All right, so we're going to add that to our card front. And again, that's the up arrow. Of course, with this paper, it doesn't matter yet. We're just going to center that so we see about 1/8 of an inch of white all the way around. And now we're going to take one of these little label pieces here in the kit, and we'll just put some adhesive on the back side of that. Now, before we tack this down, we're also going to add a couple circles behind just for decoration because it's kind of fun. And we'll add some more adhesive right where that vellum is and make that come right down here like this, kind of in the middle. Okay, next we're going to take some letters that we die cut. Now, what I did for this card is I didn't use the stamps. I used wording from the computer, and I used the die cut letters. And so you can see I've got some letters on here, and I'm going to add them to the front of my card with that multi-purpose glue. And now that that is dry, we're going to add one of the hands, the skeletal hands, and we're just going to put adhesive on the half that has the phalanges, the fingers. That way we don't have adhesive along the back side here. So that hand is holding up the sign that says old. Now we're going to open this up, and we're going to create a pocket in this little spot of the card. But before we do that, it's easier to decorate the card when it's lying flat, so we'll just put some pieces down like this. Now on this side, I'm going to add a piece of 4x4 basic black cardstock, and on this side, I'm going to add some gorgeous grape cardstock. You'll notice that this side has a crease going through it. We do not want to have any adhesive go here when we put the gorgeous grape color down. So we're going to keep that in mind. Now before we place this piece down, we're also going to add a tombstone. So we're going to use these as tombstones again. And I put adhesive along the back side, and I made sure that I put adhesive up in where that circle part is that didn't pop out yet. So you'll want a piece that still has that circle part intact. And you're going to just tack that down like so, and we'll trim that extra portion off. So we're just going to set that aside. Now on this side, we'll do the same thing where we won't tack it down quite yet. We're going to add another tombstone. To the opposite side, like that. And we'll trim off that excess. Then with this punch here, remember you can use this as a door, a window. You can also use it as tombstone punches. So we've got a couple more that we punched out, and we're just going to add those. All right, after I have those two pieces set up like that, I want to put a sentiment across the front of them. I have to keep putting this aside because it's got adhesive on it still. Now what I did is I printed on my computer some words that I thought would be fun for the inside of a birthday card for someone who's turned 50, even 40, 50, 60, you know, celebrating a person who's aging. And I was going to punch them out with that 2-inch circle punch, which could totally work with the size that I printed my words. But then I changed my mind, which is why this sheet is really short, because I actually printed on the flip side and did some strips of wording that are narrower, and I thought this looked a little bit better. So now that I have those strips done, we can tack them down to our square pieces here. And I think we're going to make this one go a little bit. Now we'll just center it. And we'll trim off the excess. And because I was too excited and put adhesive on here, we're just going to put that down now. And then we'll line up this one that does not have adhesive on it yet. We'll just line that one up right next to this. And we'll make sure that when we tape this down, that it is flush with the other one, but centered on the purple cardstock. So that looks good. We'll trim off the excess. And now we're ready to stick that down. But remember, again, we can't put any adhesive below this score line, so we want it right up in here. So to do that, and because this card is going to open and close a lot, I like this tip that Lisa gave in her video. She used the tear and tape adhesive along here. Bravo, I like that. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And then you can put adhesive up in this corner as well. I got a little long there, hang on a minute. You know what? I found my take your pick tool. Why am I using my fingernails still? I was looking all over for this when I was making my video, and I'm like, where did it go? Okay, there we go. So I pushed that up a little bit because we don't want adhesive really close to that edge. We want to leave some room there. So now we can take and put a couple more strips of tear and tape about 1/4 of an inch away from the side edge and the top edge. And we'll just go like that. Burnish it so it's really nice and tight on there. And then we'll use our take your pick tool, which I found. I'm so excited. Seriously, it was buried in my table and I kept wanting to refer to it, but then I didn't have it and I thought, where did it go? So now this piece can go right on here, and before you press it down firmly, you want to make sure that you have that 1/8 inch all the way around on that as well. And you can see I trimmed a little too close there. Oops. Okay, now that I have that done, we're just going to do a double check here. So you can see that this pushes in like this, and this is going to push in like this, and this is going to overlap this as it folds up. Okay, so now we have our card folding the right way, and we have the directions the correct way. Okay, now we need to form a pocket down here. So in order to do that, we're going to examine here. This is going to get tacked down here to form the pocket, but we don't want to put adhesive all the way through here. And then this has got to be taped together. So we're going to tape this section together first to form the pocket. So the card is going to hold like this is going to tuck in, and it's going to fold flat, open and close. Okay, so let's go ahead and stick these two sides together. Again, using tear and tape because it's a fun fold card and people are going to open and close it a lot, I'm sure, because they're going to just be in awe of your awesome design, right? Be it the party, the retirement party, or whatever it is, the birthday party for the grandpa or grandma. And then this just comes straight down onto the other piece and press it. So the last part is to make the pocket and to decorate this area here. So to add the pocket, you're just going to add a strip right along here. Because this comes to a point, I think it's easier to put the adhesive along this side instead though. So we're going to do that. We're going to start really close to the bottom edge. And then if you want to, and I recommend it, take your scissors and cut at an angle. That way you've made sure that your adhesive is going all the way into that corner. Use the bone folder, press it down, take your pick tool, peel that up, and press it down. And now you have a pocket for something to go into. Let's decorate the inside of that pocket. I've got a couple more pieces here that are fun. Now we got to make sure we get that skeleton in there. What I did with this piece, this is smaller than 4 by 4 when it's a full square. It's actually 3 7/8 by 3 7/8 because I wanted that 1/8 inch border along the edges of both triangular areas. And to do that, I had to make a slightly smaller square there. So now here's that trick again where you can put your adhesive on right into the corners by putting your corner pieces together. And that way you don't have to worry about how to get into those corners. You just stick these two pieces together just like that. Okay, and then you can just take and tear them away from each other. So one piece will go up in this corner and one will go down here. I'm going to do this one first because I can see it better from this angle. All right, we have the base of our card ready. And that's, again, where the pocket is. So we want to decorate the front of the pocket. And we're just going to stick that little guy on there as if he's dancing away. In fact, we could even angle him this way, right? We could, totally. So let's put the skeleton on the vellum circle first. And that way he's sort of in the spotlight that way with that little vellum circle behind him. So again, this just closes like that. And then you can even use the clips to help hold it shut if you want to. All right, there is the finished card. I am going to show you all of them right now, all the projects we made. Now that you've watched my video, I hope you can see that there's so much more to these kits than meets the eye. With just a few extra supplies and some imagination, you can go beyond and make so much more with these super affordable kits. I hope you gained some inspiration from what I've shared. Thank you for watching. It builds creativity to think outside the box. Be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you can catch more paper pumpkin videos that I've shared using past kits and more that I'll share with future kits. Also, be sure to visit my website at stampyourartout.com so that you can view close-up photos of these projects, see photos of other paper pumpkin kit ideas in future and past posts, and see many other great ideas that I share using Stampin' Up! Products. You'll find these links in my description below. And to get spoiled with extra goodies, such as gifts, prizes, and extra exclusive paper pumpkin project ideas, get your subscription started with me as your demonstrator. I'm Rachel Tessman in Andover, Minnesota. I hope you enjoyed this video tutorial. Now I'd like you all to go and stamp your art out. Bye-bye.